Thank you, Shelley. Thank you, Shalene. Thank you, all of you that have served your country. I want to tell you, I was 4F. That's what they used to call it. I had a kidney operation when I was a sophomore in high school. I'm as healthy as a horse, strong back, weak-minded German guy. They didn't want me. But the Lussenheide family has had a heritage of serving this country. May I briefly speak of it? They were original pioneers in the state of Montana, before it was even a state. Original homesteaders. The opportunity to own their own land. America is a great place. That there was private ownership, freedom of religion. They left Germany because they wanted that. They had the vision to have that. I would like to honor my parents right now, if you don't mind. My father served on the USS Alpine in World War II. He lied to get into the service. 17 years old. Grandpa's helped sign him in. The Alpine was just a small ship. A cruiser escort. Not a very important ship in battle per se, but it was at the Battle of Leyte Gulf, a major turning point battle in the Pacific in World War II, that my father's ship was hit by a kamikaze pilot. Usually they go after the battleships, or they go after the flat tops as they're known, the aircraft carriers. On this particular day, the Alpine was struck. My father was a 3-inch gunner. He was topside.
You should,
On that day, he saw his best friend. When a kamikaze hits, by the way, there's shrapnel flying everywhere.
You know he was wounded.
I texted, yeah.
My father saw his best friend lose his head, literally. My father, he lost the top of his thumb. Well, they took the ship back to Pearl Harbor, patched it up. They sent it back out again. They went to Okinawa. And what do you know? The Alpine got hit by a kamikaze a second time. 44 men died. This time my father lost his eyebrow. Literally just clean as a whistle right off his face. He had a little bit of hair here, a little bit of hair here. My mom would yell at him because he was always going and stealing her eyebrow pencil. It had a profound impact, the war, on my dad. He had nightmares probably every night till he died. That generation did not cry. They just bottled it up. May I speak of my mother, who was engaged to a P-38 pilot. Her fiancé was shot down over Libya. They told her that he was missing. This was 1943, that he was missing. She held out hope for 3 years that he was still alive. It was only when 2 of the other pilots from the squadron went to visit her in Phoenix after the war, they said, "We never saw any shoots." So whether you were in the wars or you were stateside, I want to salute the great generation, the World War II generation, the guys who built the Alaskan Highway, the Seabees, the people who worked in the factories, who put rivets in the B-17 bombers. They were the great generation. And of course all of our servicemen, whether it's the forgotten war of Korea or Vietnam or any other subsequent conflicts, I salute them all. But let me speak of the Revolutionary War for a minute. An old mentor of mine, he reminded me about the incredible saga of George Washington, the night he crossed the Delaware on December 25th, 1776. On that night of destiny, Washington read to his troops from a book called, some pamphlets called The American Crisis, which was written by Thomas Paine. And these words are profound. They're profound for us. Because, friends, we're in a time where we need a new revolution to throw off the shackles of oppressive government and taxation without representation. Thomas Paine's pen name was Common Sense. That was his moniker, and we need common sense. And I know, just from talking to a few of you here, you do have common sense. But George Washington, he read aloud to his troops from Thomas Paine. He said this: "These are the times that try men's souls. The summer soldier and the sunshine patriot will, in the time of crisis, shrink from the service of their country. But he that stands now deserves the love and the thanks of men and women. Tyranny like hell is not easily conquered. Yet we have the consolation with us that the harder the conflict, the more glorious the triumph. Before this event, Washington, he faced unbelievable obstacles and opposition. Washington had lost many, many battles. The army had shrunk from over 30,000 men to only 2,500. 90% of the troops gave up. They either left by desertion, or they had died, or their enlistments had ran out. We were at a tip point in history for this nation. Of that frayed and tattered remnant that remained, 1/3 of them, now this is the middle of winter now, in the snow, 1/3 of them did not even have shoes. They took burlap sacks and string and tied it around their feet. This was one of the most bitter winters in the history of our country. But with wrapped feet and held together with string, they marched, leaving literally a trail of blood. But Providence smiled on this young nation, and indeed it was God who smiled on this endeavor. And I still believe that He would like to smile on our endeavor for a constitutional government and a restoration of our country. Hot on that snowy Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, there were 800 professional Hessian soldiers, mercenary soldiers. And they were completely routed by Washington's troops. And they had a secret password that they used. And it's good words. It should be our password. It should be our signal amongst each other. The password that they used amongst the patriots was this: victory or death. And indeed it's truth. For I've little doubt that men with feet wrapped in cloth, half starved in a snowstorm, faced only two fates that night. It was either victory or it was going to be death. So I repeat again from Thomas Paine: tyranny like hell is not easily conquered. Because of this providential victory, within 2 weeks, Washington had 15,000 new recruits who volunteered to join the cause. The tide had been turned, and the young republic was on its feet and on its way. So the question we have to ask of ourselves, as those who battle now for constitutional governance in our country, as the modern day patriots, if you will, are we going to be summer soldiers, sunshine patriots? We're facing a system that's doing all it can to remove your faith in both God and country. Before us is the question as it was repeated 230 years ago: victory or death? I know you're going to choose the right answer. Thank you. God bless all of you who have served your country. God bless those who gave the ultimate sacrifice for our freedom. And thank you here for choosing the right answers.
Hey, Bill.
Thank you. It's now my privilege to introduce our next speaker, a good friend. He's a retired Master Sergeant for the Air Force. He was in the elite Blue Berets. He served in Vietnam. He served in the Gulf. He was a sheriff for over 27 years. He is the chairman of the National Veterans Committee of the Constitution Party. Let's give a round of applause for Mr. Larry Brazil.